This season, the championship battle is a one-horse race, with Red Bull being miles ahead of the rest of the teams on the grid. The battle is between the back-to-back world champion in Max Verstappen and the veteran looking for his first world title in the sport, Sergio Perez. When it became apparent that Red Bull had the best car and they had no direct competition, many people said that Verstappen would walk the championship. But that was not the case, with Perez taking home 2 wins out of the first 6 races, whilst Verstappen won the rest, and many people thought that Perez could be in a title fight. But this kind of changed after the Monaco Grand Prix, where he would have a nightmare of a weekend. Verstappen makes little errors now and then, so Perez has to be at the top of his game and be almost perfect whenever he can be. Perez is a top driver, but he has mistakes in his game, and these have shown to the world this season in crucial moments while his championship rival goes on to win the race, because that's what he does now. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Monaco Grand Prix and how Perez got no points whilst Verstappen took home the win, and why his championship hopes could already be over, how he cannot be dropping so many points if he wants to win the championship, and how Perez could lose his seat because of it, and finally, how Perez has changed a lot this season in a number of ways. Let's get right into the video, shall we? To start off with, we will be touching upon what happened at the recent Monaco Grand Prix with the Red Bull drivers. Many going into the weekend thought that Red Bull may not be able to win the race due to the lack of straights, which is their main strong point, which allows them to win all the races they have done this season. But that was not the case, of course. Verstappen would take home the win after a brilliantly driven race, pulling out 27 seconds to Alonso behind him. But qualifying is where he won the race, having an amazing final sector which put him in pole position, so he had the best chance to win the race, which he did. On the other hand, Perez would have an awful weekend, with him crashing in Q1, which meant that he started on the back of the grid in a race where it's very hard to overtake, near enough impossible. The race didn't allow him to get into the points, and this meant that Verstappen was able to pull a 25-point gap on his teammate. Now, we move on to how the championship battle could already be over due to this massive margin that Verstappen now has on Perez. As we speak, after the Monaco Grand Prix, Max Verstappen now has a 39-point lead on his teammate, and that will be very tough for Sergio Perez to come back for. The only real hope for him is that Verstappen has a DNF of his own and Perez goes on to win. But the way Verstappen is driving, that's not going to happen at all. Even if he has issues in qualifying, he can come through the grid and win the race. Just look at Miami, where Max started P9 and Perez was on pole, but Verstappen came through and won the race. It is hard to say that it is over now, because anything can happen in Formula 1, and Perez could do the unthinkable and win the championship come the end of the season. Perez has to take these mistakes out of his game that we saw in Australia and Monaco, which meant that he started at the back of the grid, whilst Max started at the front. Verstappen is pretty much perfect in what he does, so Perez will need a hint of luck to be in the championship battle. But he has to give it his all and try and show everyone else how good of a driver he is and how he should stay at Red Bull until the end of his contract. What do you think about Sergio Perez's championship hopes? Are they over? Or can he pull a massive upset and win a championship when his back is against the wall? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Our second topic is about how he cannot be dropping this many points if he ever wants to win a championship in his career, and how he could lose his seat at Red Bull due to this. Perez is a very experienced driver, being in the sport for over a decade, and he knows how to conduct himself on track, but something that has been part of his game is crashes and collisions. Now, this was the same as Max Verstappen at the start of his career, but now he has won a championship, He's stopped having these crashes that cost him a huge amount of points. So far this season, in both Monaco and Australia, Perez crashed out in Q1 on the Saturday, which cost him on the Sunday when the points are given out. He cannot be dropping these performances in qualifying, which compromises his race the following day. And this cannot happen for a driver who hopes to win a title against the best on the grid right now. Now, Red Bull is the best team on the grid by a long shot, and Perez is losing points for himself in a championship battle against Verstappen is not what the team cares about. They care about how they are losing points in the constructors' battle. Red Bull wants to put all their energy into Verstappen to win the Drivers' Championship, but they want a second driver who doesn't make mistakes and picks up good points so they can win the Constructors' Championship. But Perez could cost them this. There are drivers who are hungry and young that Red Bull is interested in, and the main driver that comes up is always linked to the team is Lando Norris. Perez has his contract up at the end of the 2024 season. Many people think that will be the end of his time at Red Bull and they move on to someone younger, but it may come earlier than people think if these mistakes keep happening. Overall, Perez has to stop these mistakes if he wants to win a championship, but also if he wants to keep his seat on the fastest car on the grid. We will just have to wait and see how long he stays in the team in the near future. Our third and final topic of this video is how Perez has changed a lot this season in a number of ways. Ever since the whole drama that happened between him and Max Verstappen at the end of last season, he has become less giving for the team, and it looks like he wants to prove how good of a driver he is to the team. We have not seen the two Red Bull drivers really battle for position on track yet ever since Brazil, but when it does happen, it may be very spicy due to Perez just not giving his position to Max like he would have done in the past. He is someone who has a lot to prove to everyone that he's just not this second driver who would give way and be a very easy pushover like he was in 2021 and 2022. 2023 is very different for Perez. Also, Perez, even though he has mistakes in his game that might have hurt him in this championship fight, he has stepped up his performances from previous seasons. He is much closer over one lap in qualifying to Max than he has been in the past, and he can hold his own on a street circuit as he is the master of the streets as we saw in Baku and Saudi Arabia, but not so in Monaco. He has been able to get close and beat Max on a number of occasions, which is impressive and clearly showing how he's getting used to the new regulations. Overall, Perez is a different animal this season and has changed in the way that he conducts himself on and off the track towards the team. Even though his time at Red Bull could be coming to a close in the very near future, what do you think about Sergio Perez so far this season? Could he get back in the championship fight, or will he be losing his seat at the end of this season? Drop us a comment below and let us know your thoughts about the Red Bull driver. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one.